Hello, and welcome to the Library Lounge, where we're going to discuss writing perspectives meant to inspire you as you work on your manuscripts. Tonight, I'll be speaking with Ami Blackford and Chester Forrester about writing a book blurb and what it takes to draft a promising query letter. Grab a delicious beverage and join us for Books and Brandy in Episode 4, Book Blurbs and Query Letters. Ami, welcome back to the studio. It's really good to see you. I know you're feeling tired from our conversation before we started recording, so thank you for making it in tonight. Tell our listeners why you think writing the book blurb before the manuscript is easier. Thank you for having me back, Sola. Yeah, I'm exhausted. You'll probably be able to hear it in my voice today or tonight as we're sitting here recording this. Basically, the book blurb, I learned this the hard way after writing a bunch of these after, I toiled away on my manuscript. So it's easier because once you write that manuscript and you edit it a bunch of times and you have a ton of subplots going, it becomes increasingly difficult for you to narrow down which plot point is the most important, which detail is the most important, especially as a science fiction fantasy author. I can say this, and I think this goes across the board for all genres, but particularly in my genre, how much world building do I put in here to kind of paint the atmosphere? And so, to me, that's really the reason, is that the more complicated the book, the more layers and complex it gets along the way, because that's what happens as you build a book out, the more difficult it is to break it down to those bare parts. So yeah, that pretty much wraps it up. It's much easier for you to tackle it when you have your basic concept down, because that's it. That's what you're going to be building on, that foundation. And it's that foundation that's needed in the book blurb and in the query letter. That really makes a lot of sense to me. I've never obviously written either of these, but when I read the back of a book cover, I'm always amazed at how well it really does paint that picture for me as a reader in just a few words. So when exactly did you figure this out? It was in my pitch to published author group. I had written and rewritten the blurb for Revelation House. I can't even tell you how many times. And Kathy, the one who runs Pitch to Published, is really good about going over those with us. And we also would workshop them inside the group. And after you go through so many rewrites, once you go through so many of them, I was becoming increasingly frustrated. And I had decided before I had fully moved on from Revelation House, I wanted to start working on Earth Engineers again, just as an inspiration to start that project up. And I went ahead and tackled the first shot at the book blurb before I had written the new manuscript. And it was so much easier to do that I became really excited about it, and I started talking about it, and I didn't realize this, but Kathy had already put this in the group, that this is really the way to go about it. And so yeah, that's around the time, this was like 3-4 years ago now. So yeah, I'd written a lot at that point in a lot of these book blurbs, but that's one reason I really want to share it with new authors and seasoned authors if they haven't figured this out yet. Okay, very, very good. What are the things writers should include in this blurb? Yeah, so I have four pieces that need to go in there. And you if you give this a Google, I'm pretty sure this is what will come up. But the protagonist, you want a brief introduction into who your protagonist is. If you're writing YA like I am, putting their age in there is a good idea. So a little brief introduction on your protagonist. The next thing is what makes them qualified to solve the story's main conflict. So, in Harry Potter, he's a wizard who's going to be battling Voldemort. Not only is he a wizard, but he survived that thunderbolt to the head when he was an infant. So immediately, he's being placed as the likely hero of the story. So it makes sense why he's able to defeat this wizard, or is going to be up against this dark wizard that everybody else is terrified of. And so, making sure that you put that in there, what makes them special, unique. But I pared it down to why are they going to be the person to resolve the story conflict? Then you want your main conflict, whatever that is, your plot point of, in Harry Potter, he's going to school and he's going to be coming up against this wizard the entire time. that he's at this school trying to learn how to be a wizard. And so that's kind of the main conflict throughout the entire series, if you really want to break it down. And then what are the stakes? What does this main character have to gain or lose if they don't resolve this conflict? And so in his case, it was his life. If he doesn't resolve this, he's going to die. That something really bad is going to happen to him. And so, that's the 4 main ingredients that you need to cook up a really solid book blurb. I really like the way you just broke that down using Harry Potter as a reference, because most people know at least the story, so they can figure it out in their own using that example. Why is writing the book blurb so difficult? So the things that I didn't mention, and you have to include those 4 things, those ingredients, but the things that you need to capture within the blurb are voice. So the voice of the book, which is this kind of almost amorphous, elusive thing that even when literary agents that have been doing this a really long time go to explain it, it's really hard to explain. But it's the essence of your story. So it's kind of like the personality of your story. I have a particular personality. You have a particular personality. Chester has a particular personality. And it's capturing that personality of the story in that write-up. So it's not just information that you're giving. It's like you're giving a little sample of what the writing is going to be like inside, which is very hard to do in so few words. And it's also generating, going back to, our previous character chemistry, it's generating that emotional response from the reader in very few words. So you're trying to not only give all of this information and, encapsulate your story in 150 words, but you're also trying to give a sample of the writing, the voice of the story, and create an emotional response within the person reading it. It's a big order. That's all I'm going to say. It's not easy to do. It gives us a lot of anxiety. And it's one reason I wanted to discuss it, because I think it's one of those, every bit of information that a writer can get, it's going to trigger an aha moment. And so this is just kind of my spin on all of the information that I've gathered. Yeah, that does sound extremely difficult. Now I'm kind of understanding more why this would be such an intimidating exercise. Do you have any creative ways to make this more fun for writers so it becomes more of an engaging process for them as opposed to an intimidating one? I am all about fun and trying to make the parts of the process as fun as possible. So generating a mock-up for the back of the book. We had talked about doing the front cover. Just even something that matches the front cover on the back that you're going to then copy and paste this text onto so that it looks like the back cover of the book is a wonderful way to get you inspired. Write it in first person. You can do this. You get into the character's head and it'll loosen you up a little bit and maybe help you figure out what, if you've already written your manuscript and you're like, well, too bad I'm just now listening to this. I already have, a 300 to 500 page novel that I've been banging away at this blurb and I'm still not getting it right. Another way to kind of loosen yourself up is say, okay, let me get into my character's head and write this from first person and just kind of get the vibe. It'll maybe help you figure out the voice and the emotional response that you're looking for, which will then help you to just kind of put these pieces in where they belong, to click them into place. Who the protagonist is, why are they the likely hero of the story to resolve the conflict, the main conflict and the stakes. And also adding voice. So taking that information, you've used the ingredients and now you're going to spice it up and give yourself leeway to come up with 6 or 7 different versions. You're not attached to any one. Just copy and paste it 6 or 7 times and go in and have fun playing with the words. So you're not excruciating over every single one. And then you can go back and read them and see which one is creating this emotional response, which one is sounding the most like what I've written, so that you have like a little sample platter basically, as opposed to just this one that you keep changing and now you're losing perspective over. So those are just, I think, a few ways that you can make the process. It's always about loosening it up to where you're feeling like you're playing more than this needs to be perfect and I really hate this. Because once you get locked up in that energy, it moves further and further away from you, what you're even trying to do. I really love all three of those pieces of advice. So I hope people take those to heart. How important is it to present a polished query letter when submitting to literary agents? It is essential to you getting an agent and a subsequent publishing contract. You have got to be able to present your work in a very professional, concise way. And there is a format to follow. This is what Pitch to Publish is all about, is following a specific thing that I'm going to go over here in the next question, looking at my notes that you have. But it's really important because you're showing the agent that, first of all, you've done your research and that you are invested beyond just being a creative. They need to see that you have a business savvy mindset, because publishing is not just about the creative part of you. It's about you being able to present your work, being able to discuss it, being able to, summarize it very quickly for people so that you can sell it. These are all really important aspects, especially in today's publishing. It's never been more important for authors to really embrace the marketing aspect and to be able to discuss their work in a professional way. So your query letter is the first piece of writing that they get. They're not even going to make it to your polished manuscript, no matter how perfect it is. If they get a query letter that is not professional, you're just saying, "Dear agent," and you're not giving them any sort of, word count, or the word count is way off. There's all of these red flags for them. They have limited time. Most agents, especially the good ones, are being inundated with manuscripts. And so they only have so much time to find those gems that are going to fit their roster. So they might only be looking for a specific genre in this round, and you need to know that too. So don't submit a picture book to an adult agent. You need to do your research, because if you don't, you're pissing people off basically in the industry. So it's really important that you know what you're talking about and that you show that, and that you also show why you should be selected for them to take the time to shop your book around, because some of these books can take, even once you land a big agent, it has to go through acquisitions in a publishing house. They have to sit at a round table and go over and argue, is this going to sell or not? So it's a product, and this is why a lot of people go into self-publishing, which there's nothing wrong with that. But if you're looking for, a big publisher, if you're looking for one of the biggest publishers, and to be published traditionally, these are the hoops you have to learn how to jump through. And so your query letter is that first impression. So the more research you do and the more you craft it and the more professionally you come out, then you have a chance of them looking at sample pages. It's very competitive. And I think there's a lot of people out there that don't realize that they are getting into the most competitive entertainment is being a writer. Because a lot of people think, oh, I'm just going to write a book, or they'll tell you, I have a book idea, you write it for me. Or I'm going to sell this to a publisher. And it's like, that's not how it works. So there's a lot of those newbie, mistakes that get made when people don't do their research. And that's the thing that it shows the agent, is that you're just not going to have the chops for this yet. So yeah, the query letter is essential. It is very important to you getting your work seen and read. No pressure, right? What are the things that need to be included in this query letter? Okay, so number one is the query letter should fit on one page, 300 words, around 300 words. And there are 7 things that need to go on it. There's a little graphic at the end of tonight's episode that, you can just do a screenshot and save it for yourself for the book blurb and for the query letter. So number one is a personalized introduction and brief reason why you've selected this agent. Again, don't send an agent that deals with adult fiction. Maybe they work with thrillers and mystery, and you're sending them a romance novel. So you need to know what genre they're in, what age group, and take it even further. Read some interviews. You need to look at what they're listing that they're even looking for. I know you're looking for a cozy mystery. Get specific. You might look at some of their clients and see if they have, it's somebody that stands out, that looks like they're kind of writing the same type. They have the same vibe as you. So there's a lot of different ways for you to connect with the agent. It doesn't need to be anything lengthy, but anything you can do to personalize it so they know that you've at least thought that part through. Like, why are we going to work together? Because your agent, it's kind of like a marriage in the professional world. You want to be working with somebody that is going to champion you, and they want to be able to champion you. And so you kind of need to be on the same page. And if you're not doing your research, then you're not making them feel special. Why did you even contact me? They're probably not going to make you feel special in the long run. So that goes a long way. You want the name of your manuscript, the word count, and then your genre. If you're in YA, put YA or children's books, so the age category there. If you're in adult fiction, you don't need to list it. But you do need to put what you're writing and present that in the opening. Comp titles. So where is this going to sit on a bookshelf between this and this? Usually 2 is more than enough. And you just want it to be writing that is comparable. Like, this is the area in a bookstore that this would be shelved, okay? So for me, don't list, bestsellers. Like, I'm not going to put Hunger Games on the manuscript I'm working on right now, even though that is the area that it would go in. I'm going to try and find titles that are new, that are comparable, that are not so far-reaching, that I'm showing, that I understand that those books they're very rare to happen. And so you just want to try and find comp titles that they'll know, but that aren't too outrageous for you to compare your work to. And you can also do a this by this. This is seen on Twitter a lot, where people are pitching their book. And so it can be like a movie or a series on Netflix, something like that. So it's this times this, where you're painting a very vivid picture with these 2 comparisons. But they need to work. They need to really represent something. So don't just put this times this. You need like the heroine in this times, the setting in this. So there's that. Then your book blurb that you've crafted and, gotten to a point where you're feeling really good about it. A brief bio. Don't put things that don't apply to what you have written. If you don't have any credentials whatsoever, publishing credits, it's fine to just put like you're a member of SCBWI, like if you're a YA author or children's book author, or you're a romance writer and you've got I don't remember the name for it, but there's memberships for thriller, romance writers. So it's letting them know that you're a serious writer, that you do attend these things. It makes you look like a professional. And so just putting credentials, but like if you've written a cookbook or a piece of nonfiction, you're going to put something in there, whether you have some piece of publishing, like recipes in a magazine, credentials that go with what you are presenting. Don't just put random stuff in there. It's just better to keep it really brief. A closing thank you for the time and consideration to the agent, and then your signature. And that's it. That wraps it up. What's the turnaround time on queries? What can new writers expect during the submission process? So this is going to vary agent by agent. They are pretty good about listing this, where they list where they're going. I'm drawing a blank right now. It's been a while for me. Where they list a query manager or something like that. They list basically what they're looking for, what their turnaround time is-ish, but it's long. Most agents, it can take, unless they get really struck by your query letter, which is another reason to write a really good one, then you might hear back from them rather quickly. And by quickly, I mean within a month to 3 months. But usually it's going to probably take 6 months or more, okay, to hear back, because they're going through their submissions. It also depends on the time of year. So just plan for it to take a while. Do not bother them. That will immediately turn them off and you're looking unprofessional. Do not check back in with them. Like if 6 months has gone by and you still haven't heard anything, it's okay to do one check-in, but do not inundate the agent with, have you looked at it yet? Have you looked at it yet? That's just going to get you knocked right off their list, okay? So it takes a while. And what can they expect during the submission process? You need to know what you're doing. You're going to I think query manager is what it's called, where you're going to upload. It's usually the first 50 pages So you need to have all of this ready. You need your query letter. Sometimes they want a synopsis, which is a more detailed breakdown of your story. You can use your outline to create that. It can be a little intimidating. And then the first 50 pages of your manuscript usually. And so, during the submission process, you're going to be nervous. You can expect that. You're going to be excited, but you're also going to start doubting what you've written. A lot of times what writers will do is they will upload their stuff, then they go back and start, reading what they've uploaded, and sometimes they'll pull their submission out because they get cold feet. So this is all very normal stuff to have happen. And then getting rejected, be prepared. I don't care how good the work is. It's not just about how good it is. Is that agent that you submitted to the right fit? And then do they think they can sell it? So even if it's the right fit, maybe their set of publishers isn't even looking for this right now. And so it's not just about how good the writing is or how you presented it. There's a lot of things down the line you have absolutely no control over. And so understand most of the rejection letters are going to be form. They're not going to have any detailed critique in them. If you get a critique, be happy, because this is just invaluable information that you're being given. It means the agent was looking at you seriously and was impressed from your presentation, your query letter, through the whole process, and they were impressed with your manuscript. So it is a win when you get some sort of information as to why they are rejecting it. So if that information and you read it doesn't resonate at all, then you can disregard it. But most times, if you look at it, it's really great information that you can use to make your writing more solid. So hopefully next time you get a phone call or an email saying that we want to work with you. So keep at it. You're going to get depressed. You're going to get sad. You're going to be anxious. These are all very normal emotions. We all go through it. You can just go and Google rejections on queries. Like Stephen King has, I think, like a whole wall with them posted up. So every writer goes through this. Every writer goes through it. It's very rare that you write a book, you send it out and you get glowing reviews and everything goes perfect from there. I'm not saying it doesn't happen. I'm just saying it's very rare for that to happen. So just keep at it, just be excited that you're doing it. Be excited that you finished a book. Most people talk about writing one and never do. So the fact that you're even at this stage puts you far above, not that you're trying to be better than anyone, but I'm saying you're already doing something. There's already something for you to be really proud of. You're already successful from that mindset, and that will keep you doing this. And at some point you're going to break through. So just keep at it. Do you have any stories about sending a bad query letter? Oh my God, yes. The one that stands out to me, because I've sent more than one bad one, but the number one, she's my number one pick, dream agent, Rosemary Stamola at Stamola Literary. I met her at a conference. It was after the Dragonstone books came out, and I was working as an angel behind the scenes. So you take agents and people to different rooms and everything, so you're helping coordinate. And so I was invited to a dinner afterwards, and she was there. We sat together. We had lasagna. She's Italian. She's also a lawyer. And she's the dream agent to me, not just because of the quality of work and the authors that she works with. And they specialize in children's, and it's just high quality, beautiful stories, beautiful illustration. She also wants author illustrators. But it's her personality. It's the way she talks. It's the way she handles herself. She's a badass. I took her at the conference, I took one of her classes, and it was all around the laws behind things. And I just absolutely was like, she's the one I would really want as my agent. So she's the one I sent this to. She had told me I could submit to her. She really liked the Dragonstone books. So I want to say it was Flick. No, I think she told me to send something after she rejected the first version of the Flick reports. I feel like I queried her on the first round of Earth Engineers, and that's why I stopped, because I went back and looked at that query letter and I was mortified. And it's because she gave me her personal email and I sent it. It was just too relaxed. And I didn't know what I was doing. And so when I went back and looked at it is when I decided to join Pitch to Publish, because I was like, oh, the shame. I'm ringing the shame bell on myself. This is so unprofessional. And I was mortified, but there's no taking it back. She never responded. It was one of those, I hope this went to spam or she never saw it. And, I told myself I'm never contacting her again until I know what I'm doing. And that sent me on my quest to learn how to write query letters. And I joined Pitch to Publish. And it was in Pitch to Publish that I was developing Revelation House and working on that. So yeah, that's my bad query letter moment. And it brings up like humor for me. I'm a little strange that way. Instead of like when I do things and I make mistakes later down the road, instead of me being upset about it, I just laugh at myself because it's just one of those goofy things that you live and you learn. And I definitely learned from it. So that's really important also to tell authors. That's going to be your next question. So I'm just going to get to it. Is basically what's my advice? And my advice is on these two pieces of writing is you're not going to get it perfect the first time. Take that screenshot, apply what I've told you, and just understand, just like writing your manuscript took time to finesse and edit, so are these two pieces of writing. And it can get frustrating because you're like, how did I just write this novel and I'm feeling really good about it, which is way more complicated. And this is such a short piece of writing that is just fucking with my head at this point. We all go through that. And it's because you're trying to say so much with so little, which is actually the hardest thing to do. And so once you conquer this, you're going to go back to the writing over here and you're going to be even better at it. So just look at it as another exercise in becoming a masterful writer. That is really fantastic insight right there. That is why we're doing this show. Next up, Amy is going to check in with Chester, who's working on his book blurb for Viking Conquest, to see what his thoughts are on these two topics. Chester, it's great to see you over here taking notes. How is your blurb coming along?
Thank you, Amy. It's good to see you as well. I'm not used to taking notes. This is a new endeavor for me, as well as the book blurb. I'd like to say it's going well. I really feel that I do things very well, but this is difficult. It's hard for me to admit it. And I'm going to admit it here. It is difficult. I am having a hard time, which is what difficult means. See, I'm all ready. Can you just cut this part out? I'm feeling like I'm being a little bit redundant. But yes, it's difficult. I know I've already said that. But I'm having a hard time formulating thoughts. Could we get to the next question, please?
I get it. Thank you for admitting that, because this is what authors and writers are up against. Is, understanding that it is difficult, so you're not alone. This can take some finessing. I know you don't usually need to edit your writing, but in this case, it's what most of us have to do before we get it just right. So don't feel bad about that part. What's the thing that has you most frustrated?
Well, thank you for that encouragement. What has me the most frustrated, not to be redundant, it is that it is difficult. I don't do well with difficult. I'm getting my first shot at it right now, and I'm feeling a little flustered by the entire thing. I kind of want to just take my typewriter and throw it out the window. Is that normal? Is that normal? Don't answer that right now. It's just going to make me more frustrated. So I think the other thing that I'm finding very difficult is actually having to write the blurb. It's not something I normally do. My ex-girlfriend is usually the one that handles it, and she did a marvelous job of it. I was able to sell 937 books based on those blurbs, and I am really missing how undifficult it was for her to write those blurbs for me. So when you put those two things together, that it is difficult, and it is very difficult because she is not writing it for me. All of it together is just leading to Chester feeling very flustered. Yes, I'm talking about myself in third person. It happens when I get upset, and I'm a lot. I am very upset right now.
And that is a very normal reaction, Chester, to get frustrated with this very difficult pieces of writing that you're working on right now. So my next question is, what would you say makes your protagonist a likely hero to resolve the conflict in this story?
Well, not to sound like a misogynist, but boobs, Amy. She has big, voluptuous boobs, and she's beautiful. So she is going to resolve the conflict of not being with the Viking. That's the conflict, is that they are not together, because it is a romantasy. And so, it does come down to the body, with a man, you know. I'm just being honest here. I hope I'm not offending anyone. Sola is sneering at me. Okay. So, beyond the boobs, she's got a very lovely personality. She's a wonderful, wonderful hero to resolve the conflict of this Viking and her not being together because he's abducted her. But she's going to be very amicable about it and surrender to him by the end of the story. But we're going to have a little bit of a tussle here and there within the context of the story. So anyway, her voluptuous boobs and her beautiful face are what make her the likely protagonist. Nobody wants, I'm sorry to say, genetics. They have to be good. You have to have a pleasing face, and it's extra special if you have big boobs.
Oh, wow, that was brutally honest, and it may offend some people. Don't get upset with Amy here. I'm just the one asking the questions. That is on Chester for that response. I'm just putting that out there. Let's look at your main conflicts. My brain just went blank right there. Let's look at your main conflict. Maybe that needs to be thought out a bit better. Can you tell me what that is? And I can help you, because we need a little bit more than the romance part. Like that's already kind of baked in. What else is going on this Viking quest that they're on?
Amy, I'm a little confused by that question. I mean, there's going to be water. Obviously, they're on a boat. A big Viking boat. And there's waves. There's going to be a storm. There'll be a storm on the water. And the conflict will be that they're trying to fish for their food. And so, they cannot capture the fish with all of those big waves going. And so there's going to be some conflict around that. I don't really know that has anything to do with the main conflict, which I am to understand in a romance is always between the man and the woman. And I just feel like you've got me a little confused, which is, it's a little frustrating, and was said flustered and frustrating together. I'm a little embarrassed right now. Sola is now laughing at me. Chester does not like to be laughed at. Excuse me. In the main conflict for me right now is that my ex-girlfriend is not doing this work for me. I need her to rethink moving out of our darling treehouse, and I just need her to come home. I need her to come home first and foremost because I love her. But I especially love the way she wrote my book blurbs for me. She's an absolute genius. And I will make sure to say that to her every single day instead of taking all of the credit all of the time. She will get a proportion of that credit given to her, and every book will be dedicated to her heretofore. I'm just making my plea because I know this is going to be aired. Hopefully she's listening. I love you, Smooksy Poo.
Okay, well, hopefully she will hear this, and I hope you all are able to work it out for more than just the book blurb and query letter. So that brings me to the last question. What do you find is the hardest part so far about putting together this query letter?
Okay, this is a difficult question. We're back to that word difficult. Let me just look at my notes that I took. This personalized introduction. I don't know what agent I'm going to send this to. I already have an agent with this romantic. They don't represent romantasy. I didn't really think that through before I picked this genre, so I'm going to have to ruminate. Maybe I'll change the genre by the end. I'm not quite sure just yet. So that's difficult, is coming up with a personalized introduction. That means I'm going to have to do research and all of these things that I don't want to do. I'm going to be honest right there. It's not that I lie a lot, but sometimes I do. I sugarcoat things a bit to make them more digestible. And of course, the book blurb. This is killing me. I hate it. I hate it so much that I mention. My ex-girlfriend does it beautifully. She articulates it so well. It has sold so many books. This in itself is its own art form. I want to murder the person that came up with this idea that the writer should have to come up with this short piece of writing that's going to sell us how much pressure can be put on the writer. We already carry the burden of letting these words flow through our fingertips from divine inspiration. It is as if I'm being struck right through the heart right now to have to narrow it down to only 150 words. Are you kidding me? This is torture. Thanking the agent will be quite easy. That's fine in a signature. I can do all of those things. So yes, that is where I'm at with that. It's all difficult. It's all torture. Writers do this before you write the manuscript. I am halfway through mine. In this I want to claw my own eyes out.
This concludes tonight's episode. We hope that aspiring and professional writers enjoyed our conversation. You can find information about Ami on Facebook and Instagram. Please find those in the description box beneath this video.